My name is Ariana. I live with my husband who has devoted his life to teaching. Elliot, my husband, was a great teacher who really connected with his students. I know this because I saw his dedication to his students up close. We both worked at a middle school. He taught math and I was a music teacher. I always admired and respected his passionate and kind approach to teaching. Eventually, my admiration turned into love and I confessed my feelings to him. As a result, he accepted my feelings and we started dating, leading to our marriage a few years later. After retiring, I focused on raising our two sons. Being educators, we were very hands-on in bringing up our children. While we were strict with their studies, we made sure they had a healthy balance of playtime. When they played, we played hard, sometimes even getting muddy together. Mom, can I play with David in the yard after I finish my homework? Sure. Once you're back, let's practice piano. Got it. David, let's play outside. Once I'm done with my studies, just wait a bit. Yeah. Brian, like this, was very caring towards his younger brother, David. I taught my sons piano, recorder, and other instruments accessible in elementary school from a young age. I always try to engage seriously with whatever I could teach them. Elliot did the same, choosing not to send them to tutoring but instead teaching them with passion until they understood. When David entered high school, Elliot suggested something to me. The kids are independent now. Ariana, what if you start a music school here, if you want? Really? You didn't want to quit teaching, right? You've been great with the kids in the house. I'm grateful. Yeah. So I was thinking, why not create something of your own again? Thank you. I'm so happy. I'll think about it. So we decided to build a soundproof music studio in our backyard and I reconnected with music there. I was overjoyed. I had thought Elliot only saw me as the mother of his sons, so his unexpected suggestion made me incredibly happy. Starting the school increased my interactions and helped me build a solid social circle. I owe my social reintegration to Elliot's support and am forever grateful for his decision back then. After graduating college, I'm thinking of becoming an elementary school teacher. What do you think? Elementary school, huh? That might suit you, Bryant. Yeah, maybe you can coach the soccer team too. Brian chose the same path as us and became an elementary school teacher, also taking on the role of soccer coach. Both our sons grew up to be bright, energetic, and honest, and it's impossible not to be happy seeing them like this. Now, the next step was their marriage. Of course, they would find someone on their own, but I hadn't heard any girlfriend stories yet. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of woman they would bring home. Now that Brian settled, I just need to see David's job and both their weddings to be content. Yeah. Has David decided what he wants to do? Well, he's still vague about it. David's grades are better than Brian's, so I guess there is no need to worry. A few months after this conversation, there was a parent-teacher conference at David's high school. Mom, David doesn't want to go to college, but his grades are excellent. Could you persuade him to consider university for his future? What? You don't want to go to college, David? Do you have something else in mind? I'm not interested in college or studies. I want to do music after graduating. Music? I'm in a band. I'm going to pursue it with them. The teacher was just stunned. I had no idea David was interested in music, let alone he was in a band. At that moment, I was too shocked to say anything. I just told the teacher we would discuss it at home and left with David. On the way home, we talked, but David seemed determined. I had no clue what my husband would say, but we talked about it at night. How was David's parent-teacher conference? Well, about that, Mom, it's okay. I'll tell him. Just wait a moment. David got up, went to his room, and came back with a guitar. This is what I want to do. Can you listen for a bit? All right. David sang a song he wrote playing guitar. I had taught my sons many instruments, but I didn't recall teaching David guitar specifically. Yet he was incredibly good at it. I was first struck by his skill, but then also by his composing ability and voice. In a word, he was talented. Not just as a mother, but as a musician, that was my honest assessment.
Aren't you going to college? Isn't there an option to pursue music after graduating? No, I want to go all in on music and aim to be a pro. Okay, just make sure you don't regret it. Be committed.
I was honestly surprised that my husband agreed so easily. He knew how tough the music industry could be. I thought I would have to discourage David regardless of his talent, considering his future. David thanked his dad and went back to his room. Is that okay? Isn't this too unstable?
If he has a path he wants to follow, all we can do is support and watch over him. Plus, he might change his mind.
Even so,
don't worry, just let it be.
I trusted David, but as a mother, I was worried about his choice of an unstable path. Maybe I felt this way because Brian had chosen such a conventional path, but my anxiety was soon elevated. A while after David became a senior in high school, he suddenly said he wanted to go to college.
Has something changed your mind? It hasn't even been half a year since you said you wanted to pursue music. The band broke up. If you really want to do it, you can do it alone, right? I wanted to do it with everyone.
David seemed a bit sullen. Apparently, some band members were considering college in other regions, and others were planning to work instead, leading to the band's dissolution. So David went to college. But he seemed aimless, just attending without a clear goal. David, can you help me this Sunday? I'm hosting a workshop at my music school.
I don't have work, so sure. What do you want me to do?
One of my students, a year younger than you, will help too. Just follow her lead. Oh, and bring your guitar.
Okay.
On the day, I introduced my student, Christine, to David. They work seamlessly together, and I let the young kids in their care for the lesson. David had musical talent, I knew that, so I wanted to see how he would teach. David, you play the guitar so well, it's inspiring.
Really? That makes me happy.
I love music, and I want it to be an important hobby for life.
You love music so much, so why don't you make it your job?
No way, I would never make it a job. If it becomes work, it won't always be fun. I want to keep enjoying music forever. David was influenced by Christine, whom he met for the first time that day, and later said his perspective changed because of her. After that day, they grew close. They often helped at events together and even promoted street concerts, which I sometimes watched. 6 years after meeting, David and Christine got married. Christine was a dear student of mine, and their marriage was a joyous occasion for me. My eldest son, Brian, had married a bit earlier. His wife, Jessie, was a health teacher at the same elementary school. Initially, I imagined her as a gentle and calm person, but she turned out to be quite frank and direct, the complete opposite what I expected. We suggested they build a house nearby, but Jessie firmly refused, insisting they live in an apartment in Dallas. On the other hand, after graduating college and securing a job in systems, David built a house near us and lived there with Christine. When Christine had their first child, she quit her job to stay at home. David's family often visited us, which made sense since Christine and I were already close. But I had a tough time with Jessie, Brian's wife. Your house feels so outdated every time I visit. Don't you find it inconvenient, mother-in-law? We're used to living here and have never thought of it that way. I couldn't stand it. Ever since they refused to build a house nearby, Jessie made such remarks as if to belittle our choice to live here. But our town isn't as old-fashioned as she makes it out to be. We have a big shopping mall, a cinema, an amusement park, grocery stores, and restaurants. As time passed, my husband retired. He was still fit to work and reluctant to leave his job, but retirement was inevitable. He was reaching out to a few places, hoping to continue teaching kids. "You've worked hard for a long time. Let's take a break and enjoy some time together."
Yeah, maybe we need to do that.
We went on a long trip together. After returning, we invited our children over, gave them souvenirs, and had a meal together. It was always lively when everyone gathered, and watching the grandkids play happily in the yard was a joy. "Grandma's house is great, with its big yard like a playground." Brian's son always said this when he visited, which seemed to bother Jesse the most. "We don't have a yard, but we have a beautiful view. You can't see here." "I don't care about that. It takes forever for the elevator in our high-rise, and Grandma's house is way better." "Then stay here. Don't come back to our apartment."
Jesse, don't be so upset.
"Spending too much time in such a relaxed environment could make you dull."
"Jesse, we live just nearby and are having a great time." Christine tried to smooth things over, but Jesse's commands got sharper. When the kids sensed the tension, they left for the yard, leaving only the adults. Jesse continued,
"Now that father-in-law's retired, be careful not to become dull from staying at home all the time."
"Yes, we should be careful not to trouble anyone."
"Sure."
The conversation should have ended there, but Jessie didn't stop. I tried to change the subject, but she persisted.
"I have my job and parenting to handle, but if you ever need care, I'll do it, for a fee."
"What?"
"Don't you know how hard caregiving is? You have to be practical about these things."
Maybe you're right. I was shocked by her words, but managed to smile to keep the peace. Jessie is my eldest son's wife and will inevitably rely on her one day, so we couldn't respond to her remarks. The mood was down and the gathering ended on a somber note. A few days later, Brian stopped by. "I'm sorry about the other day. Jessie can be harsh, and I know she upset you. We've decided that if we can't live on our own anymore, we'll go to a facility, so don't worry. I'm the eldest son, and I have thought about living together in the future. Just stay healthy a bit longer. I'll talk to Jessie." "Don't worry about us. We're fine." Although I had this conversation with Brian, the truth is our relationship with Jessie isn't great. On the other hand, our younger son's family, including Christine, and the kids visit us almost daily, share meals, and truly get along well. I would prefer to rely on David and Christine in the future, but Brian also wants to help, and we're still healthy, so we keep putting off these thoughts. Today, while you were out, Brian came by. Did something happen? He apologized for the other day, said he would talk to Jessie about living together someday. Jessie doesn't seem too keen on living here. It'll be difficult. We were content with our peaceful life together, enjoying the increased time since my husband's retirement. Hello, mother-in-law. Christine, what brings you here? The weather looks great tomorrow. How about a barbecue in the yard? That sounds lovely. Would you like to go shopping with me now? Christine always invited us to share these joyful moments. I was happy with her thoughtfulness and loved her like my own daughter. The next day, David's family and we enjoyed a barbecue in our spacious yard. Our property is quite large with a slide, swings, and a sandbox for the grandkids who prefer playing here over the park. We own a lot of land in the area, so our home is spacious. That's why we encouraged our son to build their homes nearby. We also own several apartments generating rental income and even lease out fields for baseball and tennis. My husband didn't need to work, but he loved teaching. This land has been in our family for generations, and we plan to pass it on to our sons. Jessie doesn't seem interested in living here, and my husband sometimes discusses selling the land and dividing the proceeds. Thank you for today, mother-in-law. It must be tiring with all the noise, right? Not at all. We're happy when it's lively, and we're grateful you always visit. I'm glad to hear that. Actually, I'm planning another event at the school soon. Could I ask for David's help again?
and I'm thinking of retiring as a school's teacher. After this event, I was thinking of leaving the classroom. It was also due to my age and the fact that my husband had retired from work. What? Why? This will be my last event, and I was hoping, Christine, would you like to take over the school and students? Me? I don't think I can. You'll be fine, Christine. Christine looked unsure and asked for some time to think. I knew she wanted music as a lifelong hobby and felt her talent shouldn't end as just that. I hoped she would teach her skills to the children. We spent the day enjoying food, music, and playing with the grandkids. Suddenly, without notice, Brian's family arrived. Mother-in-law, can we talk? What's wrong, Jessie? Is it true that father-in-law owns all this land? Yes, why? We have invited you to build a house here many times. Jessie seemed incredibly angry for some reason. Since the atmosphere wasn't conducive to calm discussion, I asked the children to keep playing in the yard while the adults went inside. Brian, what's going on with Jessie? Why is she so upset?
She got angry after finding out Dad owns a lot of land.
Jessie, what's the matter? So David also got land from father-in-law to build his house, right? Yes, that's right. We're paying high rent every month for our apartment. This is so unfair. I couldn't understand why Jessie was angry. She chose to live in Manhattan, and now she's upset, calling it unfair. I was uncomfortable, and I worried about how my husband felt.
Jessie, enough. You were the one who ridiculed living here, insisting you didn't want to come. You're the only one who didn't want to live here. The kids all wanted to.
That's true, but I never thought about buying land here to build a house. But if it's given, that's a different story.
Jessie, it seems there was a misunderstanding. I'm sorry you felt bad about it. Dad, you don't have to apologize. Jessie's being unreasonable. I am embarrassed by her.
My husband calmly told Jessie that she doesn't have to live here if she doesn't want to, and after we're gone, all the land and apartments we own will be divided between Brian and David. So there's nothing to worry about. Everyone calmed down a bit after hearing my husband speak. I understand.
Jessie, you're part of my family. You can't behave like this. Apologize to everyone.
Why do I have to be the one who's angry? I don't get it. Jessie seemed unconvinced, and I didn't know what to say. Then, Brian made a bold statement.
Jessie, I'm going to live here with the kids.
What?
If you want to stay there, live there by yourself.
What are you saying?
I don't want to live with a wife who doesn't care about my family. Your attitude is a bad influence on the kids.
Jessie was visibly shaken by Brian's words. She stayed silent, looking down. David and Christine didn't intervene, feeling the tension. Jessie, I'm sorry it came to this because of us.
I would consider a divorce depending on how Jessie thinks.
Brian, that's too much. I'm going home. Sorry for ruining the gathering. Jessie left without making eye contact, but Christine followed her. Christine gave us a look and ran. Jessie, wait. You haven't really faced father-in-law and mother-in-law, have you? What do you mean? If you face them properly, they'll love you like their own daughter. It's not too late. Let's live happily here together. I have said too much. I can't face them now. It's okay. If you care about Brian, it will work out. Let's go back and apologize now. Christine returned a few minutes later with Jessie. Jessie? Jessie closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and faced us. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, Brian, I'm sorry. It's okay, Jessie. Lift your head. I have always been concerned about what my mom friends and colleagues would think about moving to Dallas. That's why I avoided coming here. Jessie apologized to us and bowed to Brian, asking him not to mention divorce. She reflected on her actions, influenced by work and life elsewhere, and asked to live with us, causing me to feel unsettled. After Brian brought up divorce and Christine persuaded her, Jessie seemed to reconsider her behavior. Until now, Jessie was the only one not trying to fit in with our family, but perhaps this incident where everyone confronted each other head-on turned out for the better. Afterwards, the three families continued to enjoy the barbecue and the latter half was filled with smiles. Months later, Brian's family moved nearby. We had suggested building a house close to us, but at Jesse's request, they decided to live with us initially, only doing minor renovations before moving in. A while ago, Jesse's whimsical demands would have been unthinkable. Perhaps we should be thankful she wanted to live under the same roof. I think Brian and Jesse must have had some discussions, but Brian said it was Jesse who suggested living together, while he preferred building a house nearby. Still, I believe Jesse chose to live with us out of love for Brian. There may be problems as we start living together, but for now, I can't think too far ahead. My lovely son and his family. I genuinely want to embrace and cherish my entire family. Nothing is insurmountable, I believe. Jesse has decided to continue working at a local school and Christine has taken over my music school. My husband is preparing to start something new. He wants to create a facility to care for children who are alone after school due to their parents' work schedules, and I hope our daughters-in-law will help us manage it someday. I realize my husband wants to remain an educator until the end. I hope to spend the rest of my life surrounded by my sons, daughters, and grandchildren, living healthily and happily without being a burden. Before we go grocery shopping for dinner, I want to buy some clothes for the kids. Mother-in-law, would you like to come? Really? I wouldn't be intruding. Let's invite Christine and go together. Since shopping is tiring, let's prepare dinner for everyone tonight. That sounds wonderful. So far, our days have become more enjoyable than before.